Western think tanks like the Institute for the Study of War are suggesting that Russia is preparing for a massive assault against NATO countries. We got little green men showing up outside Estonia, and it has Estonia panicking. Is there going to be a direct engagement between NATO and Russia? Well, let's just say things aren't going well for NATO over in Eastern Europe. We have direct confrontation happening more and more, and even Russia has said that this is an actual war between them and NATO. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to walk through some specifics that are happening right now. We're going to look at some of what the Institute for the Study of War, as well as other think tanks, are saying, whether this is propaganda or whether it's legitimate. I'm going to leave up to you. But I thought that this was important to bring to you as we stare down the barrel of World War III. Obviously, things are scaling up in Ukraine. The United States is talking about giving long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, which they could use to try to do a decapitation strike against Russia. They could try to take out Putin or high-level government members. Not only that, but Germany is on the brink of giving them tariff missiles, which are very similar to Tomahawk missiles. These long-range missiles could be used to strike some very, very critical sites across Russia. Not only that, but the United States has admitted, and everyone has basically said that they get, that NATO and United States targeting information is being passed to Ukraine, which is why their long-range strikes are being so effective. The United States is all but pushing the button for Ukraine in attacking Russian civilian sites, fuel depots, refineries, and other industrial sites across Russia. Does that make the United States participant in the war? According to Russia, yes. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. Thanks to NOLA Mattress for sponsoring this video. Head over to nolamattress.com/poplar and use my code POPLAR to get an extra $50 off your mattress. NOLA is an award-winning mattress brand known for its cooling technology, exceptional pressure relief, and long-lasting durability. And it's conveniently shipped to your door for free. I sleep cool, and I'm about to have a wife, so full size just felt to be not big enough. So I upgraded to a queen, and I chose the NOLA Evolution. It's for its back support, and because I, have a few extra pounds, I kind of need that. And the cooling technology makes me a lot more comfortable too. So I've tried it, and I've noticed a few things. Great craftsmanship, cool to the touch, and it's really soft to the touch, so it's comfortable, but it has enough firmness that I don't sink into it, because that would mess up my back. A lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. It's a much better mattress than what I had, and I found that I sleep deeper and don't wake up in the middle of the night anymore. So I personally recommend the NOLA mattresses. NOLA delivers the mattresses directly right to your door with free shipping inside the United States. The mattress comes rolled up in a box, which is a little hard to move around, but it's good, and it's easy to set up. You get it in there, you set it up. There's a 120-night sleep trial test, so there's no risk to you to ensure that you love it, right? And NOLA mattress includes a lifetime limited warranty. And they offer financing options and flexible payment plans. So if money right now is a bit of an issue, but you want to upgrade your bed, that is possible. I love my NOLA mattress, and I think you will too. If you're looking for a new bed, head to nolamattress.com/poplar and use the code POPLAR for $50 off. This is an additional discount in addition to all the sales that they have going on already. So check them out while you can. All right, friends, the United States-based Institute for the Study of War is a think tank / publication that mostly does promote the propaganda of the United States and NATO. But they've come out with some very interesting claims. They are saying that Moscow has entered into what they call, and what Russia calls, Phase 0 stage of preparation for potential confrontation with the alliance. Now, this stage is like, stage 1 is like shooting at each other. Stage 0 is the sabotage, espionage, infiltration, political confrontation and the drone issues over Europe. Now, I have some skepticism about the drone issues. It seems like that's more hysteria and our incompetent NATO allies who can't seem to figure out what is going on, where it's going on, and can't defend themselves against little plastic toys. That's my opinion on the matter, but other people, especially NATO military people who know stuff, are saying that this is Russian drones flying off of Russian oil tankers and stuff. Of course, the Russian oil tankers that they've stopped didn't have any drones, but hey, they're experts and military people who are funded by the CIA and trained by the CIA. Anyway, so what's this idea of phase zero? This is basically shaping the battlefield before you go into it. Includes espionage, sabotage, to set up the war to be in your favor. If you can politically isolate countries, if you can damage infrastructure, critical infrastructure, why is it that everyone who's building 155 millimeter shells, the basic artillery shell for NATO, seems to keep going kablooey? It could be a series of industrial accidents, or it could be a series of sabotage incidents, and I'm inclined to think it's the latter. It sure does seem like it's pretty convenient that all these fires seem to be happening at weapons production facilities that are making 155 millimeter shells that are ending up in Ukraine and being shot at Russians. Both China and Russia both have a strong interest in seeing those factories go kablooey, just like the one down in Tennessee, which turned out to have just gotten over a $100 million contract to produce the explosives that would be used in 155 millimeter shells. So, is that what's going on right now? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. All right, little green men. If you're not familiar with that reference, that is basically the green uniformed, I don't know if you'd say uniformed, basically a bunch of guys in uniforms carrying military weapons, in some cases having helmets and stuff like that, but no patches. Showed up in Crimea back in the early 2010s, right? They show up in Crimea, they just kind of wander in there and just like, Crimea is ours now. And then they're like, well, we're going to join Russia. Everyone's like, those are Russian troops without their patches on. And they're like, no, it couldn't be that. It's, they're just little green men. And so that basically is where that came from. Russia just thought that it would be cute to send in their troops without patches on and then claim that they didn't know what was going on. That's militia. That's local militia. That's Crimea rising up and saying, hey, we want to be part of Russia. Well, that same kind of thing is happening on the Estonian border. Estonian territory authorities are temporarily closing a section of road passing through Russian territory near the Russian-Estonian border. So there's a shortcut you can take, but you have to go through Russia in order to get from one area to the next. And Estonian border guards observed a small group of Russian military personnel without insignia in the area. Now, military is supposed to have insignia on, right? They're not just supposed to be wearing camouflage and then do whatever they want to do. They're supposed to have some sort of identification showing which country they belong to and all that. Well, it's concerning to see Russian military personnel without Russian insignia on. What is going on? And there's this conversation about, are they preparing to do a little green men operation in Estonia? The Institute for the Study of War says that they're continuing to assess that Russia has recently intensified its covert and overt attack against Europe and Russia and entered into the phase zero. The information and psychological condition setting phase of its campaign to prepare for a possible NATO-Russia war in the future. Now, this is the first instance observed of little green men operating near a NATO state in the context of a Phase Zero campaign. Now, are they just shaping things and getting prepared? But the whole little green men really aren't useful unless you're doing the attacking. Now, how badly would the United States and NATO be impacted if Russia went in and just took over Estonia? We probably wouldn't notice. I think that's, the Estonians would notice, okay? The Estonians would notice, but the rest of us would not. Now, when I was in Estonia last year, I was trying to get to this museum, which is dedicated to the people that were attacked and hurt in the communist takeover. Come to think of it, I'm wondering if I actually went to the museum. I may have, but Estonia is definitely not wanting to be communist, definitely not want to be part of Russia anymore. They're very happy to be free, and they are very concerned about any attempt to basically reunify them with Estonia. Now, one has to ask the question, if China's going to go and grab Taiwan, would Russia sit down with them and say, okay, you grab Taiwan, we'll grab Estonia, we'll both do it at the same time, and then we'll both support each other in, turning it into our territory. Russia has been fairly successful with grabbing Crimea. I mean, Ukraine still says Crimea is part of Ukraine, but most other countries are starting to kind of hedge their bets on when they say it's part of Ukraine, right? I mean, most people are recognizing that it is de facto part of Russia. You may not like it, but that's the objective truth. That's what's happening. Alaska is part of the United States, and Crimea is part of Russia. Now, you can be like, it shouldn't be like that, but it is. It just is. And anyone who thinks that they can pry Crimea out of the hands of Russia is, well, it's kind of silly. It's not really a thing. All right, so United States Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, said yesterday that October 15th, Washington was going to make a significant, so that's today, statement about new weapons supplied to Kiev. Now, this is possibly going to be the Tomahawk missile announcement, and that's partially aimed at getting Germany to deliver Taurus missiles. Germany has a few more Taurus missiles laying around. The United States really doesn't have any Tomahawk missiles to spare. So it sounds like we may only be giving just a handful of them, like 2, 3, 4, to Ukraine, and basically pressure Europe and give political cover to Europe to give those long-range missiles so that ire comes down on American shoulders. Now, I know a lot of you are kind of like, why is President Trump pushing the war when he said he wanted to get out of the war? And you got to remember that President Trump needs to negotiate from a position of strength. And in this situation, he's got to have allies that are strong, allies that are supporting Ukraine and are providing a credible threat of escalation in Ukraine in order to force Russia to agree to a fairly decent peace deal. If we go into it weak, like we don't want to be in this war, Russia's going to be like, well, then you need to give us everything, or else you can't get out. You guys want to get out, and we want to help you get out, but you're going to have to leave everything on the table for us in order for us to let you go. So President Trump is trying to project strength and power so that he can shape the negotiation the way he wants to. But it is a dangerous game, and we'll see how that goes. Russia is definitely not playing. They're not fighting to get better negotiation, standpoint. They are fighting a war. They're trying to win. And that's kind of what we're seeing. One of the things that we've seen here, too, is that the Kremlin has just is now preparing to mobilize reservists on a rolling basis to fight in Ukraine for the first time. Now, before, back in the beginning, they did call up reservists, but they now are going to start rotating reservists through Ukraine. Some have suggested that they're trying to do here is they're trying to bloody up their reservists. Now, what does that mean? To bloody them or to blood them. It's basically to give them combat experience so that when there's bigger combat experience, they'll be more useful. So if you send them into fighting, get them a little bit of fighting, then send them home, they then kind of know what combat is and they kind of understand some things about combat. The simple fact is that Russia is a highly effective military. They've rapidly advanced their capabilities far beyond what the United States has been able to advance to. Warfare has changed due to the combat in Ukraine. Both Russia and Ukraine have rapidly iterated the use of drones. Siege warfare, maneuver warfare is just plain out. Artillery, drones, information targeting command centers, radar installations. It's just, it's a whole new world. And the American observers that have seen what's going on and the NATO observers that have seen have come back with the reason, with the conclusion that NATO is just not ready for that type of warfare, that we don't know how to fight that. Now, we can try to force them to fight in our domain, in our way, but the problem is that the Russians have rapidly integrated their drone attack teams into their military to such an extent that the United States isn't anywhere close to that. The idea that our infantry would be bombarded with attack drones that would be targeting individual soldiers and small groups of soldiers, is the U.S. military really ready to handle that? We've been toying with what to do about drones, but unless we've been pulling some things in the background, by and large, the U.S. military is not structured to fight this type of combat. Now, again, we have other capabilities, aircraft, fighter bombers that are able to shape the battle space in ways that may overwhelm the Russians. But if we have to fight this type of war, we're not ready for it. Iran is also acting out over there, threatening to shut down the Strait of Hormuz again if oil exports are restricted, which the UN resolution said that that's basically what's going to happen. One of the chief military officers in Iran warned that Iran would respond, quote, in a reciprocal and appropriate manner if UN member states use UN Security Council Resolution 1929 to seize Iranian vessels. Basically, you seize our vessels, we'll start seizing your vessels. You start going after our oil, we'll stop the flow of your oil, which is reminiscent of basically what the Houthis are doing down there. The Houthis have basically just been practicing and helping the the Islamic Revolutionary Guard of Iran to practice shutting down a strait, the Bab al-Mandab Strait, as opposed to the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz would be much more devastating if it gets shut down. Even if they just start shooting at ships in that waterway, it's going to get everybody very, very nervous very, very quickly. Even more oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz than it does through the Bab al-Mandab Strait. And there's no alternative to the Strait of Hormuz. The only alternative is a pipeline that goes across Saudi Arabia, and let's just say that's easy enough to be destroyed. All right, friends, that's the latest that's happening out of Europe. Let me know what you guys think. Is Russia preparing for a little green men operation? Are they preparing for an attack on some of the smaller states of NATO? Or would they never consider that? Are they just going to keep rolling forward in Ukraine? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments down below. Thanks so much for joining with us. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.